Alrighty then, it's HMS Cossack, which was... Oh, I seem to remember this. I think this is one of the ones I re-recorded in Australia. This is one of the ones I did re-record in Australia, isn't it? I'm just looking at the video now. This is not a comment response video, so that's... Okay, yeah... But... I've got it up. Let me just take this out way so you can see it. Yeah... That was me in Australia. That was me with a whole load of pictures of ship models that day, so that was in Perth? That must have been in Perth. Oh, those ship models are cool. Those are cool. What is it with manga? Or whatever that stuff thing is. Anime. Or whatever. That keeps coming up on my videos. I have no idea what. Seriously, you watch one video. I keep flicking up, and now what's the great fun is every time it just flicks on, it's a case of get out or shall I just leave this on to have it on the background while I'm working because it's just auto flicked for it. It's really strange. Anyway, let's get back to the comments. Alrighty then, slideshow. Yay! Start the slideshow off, but we'll get rid of that quickly. Thank you, JPD. Let's see, let's get into questions. Sean Quigley, thank you, this video is awesome. No need to add or subtract anything, it's like sitting around having a chat with you anyway. I'm glad that. Now Briggs, don't worry about a museum video. You were in a public space and interruptions happened. It was well worth seeing a bit of what it was there. Yes. You see, one of those interruptions though, walking in, was a rather loud and lesser spotted Naval. And afterwards he's sort of going, "Oh, frigate, you were... ooh." And I went, "Don't worry, I've done the same to you." Because you walk in, and especially when you're wandering around with a group of people and they're asking you questions, you don't take any notice of, yeah, this is why we have to operate in pairs, because one of us basically stands by the door to the other, watch the others come through and go. I had the room to myself because Drac had carefully corralled everyone, and that was it's kind of useful when we're traveling around because everyone tends to focus in on him, and it's useful. And it's kind of the opposite of when I take my students around places. When I get to take students around places, when I get surrounded by them, and I can't really enjoy the exhibitions because I'm just doing student stuff. Glad that was good, Steve Richards. Butcher, thoughtful and insightful video, thank you. Glowworm is a hero ship. I'm not going to disagree with that. Michael Lanza. Where can one learn more about box tactics and other standard tactics used by Iron destroyers? It sounds big-headed, but I can only think of my own book for an in-print work. But lots of books from the 50s and 60s. Michael Lanza, nah, your book addiction is worse than even mine. The second printing is already on my list. Thank you. And yeah, that's the trouble when I start looking around for books on, especially the tactics, because I'm very much of the belief that you can't look at things in isolation, and you can't look at technology in isolation of the strategy or the operational ideas of how they want to bring about that strategy, because it's all developed together. And this is why certain people become very key in the development of aircraft, development of ships, development of all those things being built by navies. And honestly, it's where a lot of fiefdoms are built in navies as well, because if you straddle that area, you can have a lot of power and influence. And she was commanded by Admiral Philip Vane. When aboard her, he was still captain, but yeah, he earned his braid with the tribals. His gold braid, I think it's supposed to be B-R-A-I-D, not B-R-A-D-E. I'm not sure what braid stands for. Although, you have to remember, Cossack was really his second ship. His first one was a 3D. And Cossack, the first time he takes over her when she's involved in the Altmark incident, is because her commander, Sherbrooke, has basically worn himself to a bone. And this is the Sherbrooke who ends up winning a VC later in the war, in charge of a load of O-class, holding off German heavy cruisers and basically torturing them with a half flotilla of destroyers. So, yeah, he wore himself out running her. Hi, Jack Wright, thank you. Thank you, Leslie Mitchell. What am I on? The old can-do attitude. Turbinitis? Blade rubbing, please explain. Okay, so turbinitis. Basically, Royal Navy ships are supposed to spend most of their life at cruising speed. Tribals don't spend a lot of their lives at cruising speed. They spend a lot of their lives at high speed, dashing around between task to task. This meant that their turbines developed turbinitis, i.e. the turbines started wobbling. Not very good. Blade rubbing, similar scenario. But basically, it's the engines being asked to do things which they're not supposed to, which has actually led to changes in subsequent destroyer classes. Which is why the engines in the battle class, the turbines especially in the battle class, and the daring class are so much different. Turbinitis is a really interesting thing. It's basically a product of the tribals being in very great demand, because there's a lot of questions of why are they developing turbinitis, but other ships which are using the same engines aren't. And there was a discussion as to whether, perhaps it's the engine makers. Well, it came from pretty much all the ships in the class were using it, and they had different makers of their engines. So, okay, it's not an engine maker problem, it's a problem with, okay, so what is the problem with? And then they looked at them, and they started doing a study of them, and I went, hang on, their average speed is far higher than the other ships. The other ships spend their average speed is far closer to their cruising speed. And their design cruising speed. Tribals, their speed was their average speed was something in the region of 50% greater. I can't remember the exact figure. But their cruising speed was supposed to be somewhere around 16 knots. And they were their average service time to spend about 22 to 24 knots. There was an exact figure, but it was something like 23 point something. But then that was averaged across the class, and then the individual ones were between 20 and 22 and 24 knots. So yeah, that's basically it. It's turbinitis. Juicy Sushi. One of my abiding curiosities is how Squadron Tribals would have fared in a night action at Guadalcanal. It would have been a very interesting encounter to see what two equally proficient night fighting officers could do in a small ship action. Well, Weird Alien, I'm not sure why Choo Choo is written, but okay. I'm fairly sure it's a good thing, but the interesting thing is this. The Tribals would have been zigzagging, as that's the automatic British response and trained response. So long-range torpedo hits are unlikely to be scored. In which point they have superior rate of fire in terms of their primary gun armament. And they, by Guadalcanal, had all the surviving ones had radar. So I think that would quickly turn into a massacre. I think it would do, of the Japanese, because the Japanese had very good night fighting doctrine, but it was long-range torpedo attacks which would disrupt enemy formations and then come in and fight them, whereas the British one was to fire at medium range with the torpedoes, really, not even maximum range with the torpedoes, medium range, and then chase in behind them as hard as they could. And the British was trained to get very, very close knife fighting range, and that's going to benefit the number of guns they have and the rate of fire of guns they have of the Tribals. So I think the Tribals probably wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose some ships, because again, the Japanese are not bad crews. They're very good at night fighting. But I think it's going to be a scenario kind of like Narvik, is what goes through my head, where the Germans, even if they're facing the Americans, would probably find themselves overwhelmed. But if they're facing the Germans facing the British, they were just overwhelmed by rate of fire. That's literally what happens to the German destroyers at Narvik. It's the sheer volume of shells coming at them. It makes it so much more difficult to do things when you've got shells going off all around you all the time. And that's what I think would happen to them. Thank you, Juicy Sushi. Right, that was not a long video, not a long comment response. Give me a second, let's pause this and go to the other one that hadn't got any, that, you know, I stopped to replace. Let's see what comments are on that. Let's see, what comments are there going to be on this? Oh, no comments. That's rather sad. But, yeah. I liked doing that video. I haven't done... There's a few of the travels I haven't done. I'm trying to working out which is... what video I'm going to do for... Series 7, Part 5. I've got 2 ships as a potential option, and I'm getting it done as quickly as I can because I know tomorrow Mum has medical appointments because today's Wednesday I'm recording and Mum's got appointments on Thursday. So I apologise now if I miss any videos out of the ones I promised to do over the Christmas period. But I'm trying to do as many as I can to cover so you have a seamless... I don't let anyone down. It's interesting to note because people haven't seen. So when I said this before, people have sort of gone, well, you know, don't ignore your mum, and I won't ignore my mum. But she's also the one who's annoyed with me in doing it because it's going to sound okay. If I give it a bit of explanation, as you all know, as some of you will know from listening to me, I've had some problems with university employment recently. Still working, doing some stuff, but the one which had zoomed up my most hours and had booked me in August, sort of instead of signing me and asked me to sign a contract in late September, early October, as they normally do, they said, oh, we want you to feel confident, so we're going to give you the contract in August. Okay, great, signed it up. So didn't put in applications for anyone else because I had the hours already full and I was doing enough and it was okay. And then in early October, it was cut. And it was just ended, and I'm even owed hours which I haven't been paid. But leaving that to one side, so I've been sort of focusing on the channel while doing job applications because I enjoy doing the videos and because it still funds my research. It means that research funding is still coming in. It means that funding for my book habit is coming in. It means that I still feel like I am working. And I like that. I like that structure in my day. I'm a bit of a workaholic. Well, to be honest, my mum worries that she's the reason I haven't got a permanent post yet. If I explain why, I was offered a permanent post when I was a few years back, but my mum had just been diagnosed with cancer, was going through treatment, and I asked them if I could delay joining till after she was through treatment because I wanted to because my sister was in full-time work already as a lecturer, and so she wasn't able to do the driving backwards and forwards and all the things that Mum needed to help. So I said, well, I haven't started yet. You don't really need me to start at this point in the year. I can start in September. Couldn't we put deferred signings to September? They didn't. I haven't been offered a permanent post since then. I've come second in various postings, but also I keep getting asked in interviews quite often why there's a gap in my career. Why there's a gap in period when I wasn't publishing, when I wasn't doing all, and I go quite honestly, oh yeah, that was the roughly 6 months when my mum was very, very ill and in cancer treatment and I was helping her. Because that's what you do. That's what you do. I had enough work and money coming in terms of part-time jobs and other work that I didn't need to worry so much and could fit that around looking after her, so I did. Because whilst the NHS means you don't have massive bills to pay, you still need someone to help when you're going through that level of cancer treatment. And this was a few years back. Anyway, I always get asked that question in interviews. Always get asked that question in interviews. There again, as I point out to where I also always get asked the dyslexia question. Fun. And the other favourite question is, why has your PhD not been turned into a book yet? So I have 3 big strikes against me. The fact I still come second in these applications, they get these lovely letters from the universities about it. Is amazing, frankly. I should probably do some more job applications. I've started, since YouTube and since work, being more selective about what jobs I apply to. I'm not applying to every single history post which comes available. I'm applying to the ones which are pretty much fit my skill set, rather than ones which I can stretch if I really adjust things to my skill set. Mainly because I have your support. But now she's of course worried that if she's ill again, it's not cancer, but she's worried it's going to be heart stuff. She's worried that I will again disappear off and lose my footing of where I am. And I've gone, A, YouTube isn't like that. The people are far nicer, for starters. And B, I'm still going to get some stuff out, so hopefully the channel doesn't collapse, even if I'm late with some postings and miss some days. I don't think it will. I hope it wouldn't. But thank you for everyone for your support. Thank you for the nice messages I've been getting about it. And again, sorry for the interrupted live on the Tuesday. I will get part 2 of that done at some point. I will do a schedule second live. When it will be, I'm not sure, but it will be scheduled at some point. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you. And comment below if you'd like me to do more of the tribal class. I think I've done a couple of them, but you know, there are more to do. There are many more to do.